Welcome to the Greenfield Report with Henry R. Greenfield, your gateway to understanding today's geopolitical landscape. With 50 years of experience across 10 countries, Henry shares expert insights on world affairs, offering practical solutions and engaging guest perspectives. Dive into the Greenfield Report for lively discussions on the issues that matter.
This is Henry R. Greenfield with the Greenfield Report and a special commentary on the growing constitutional crisis in the United States. Events are moving so rapidly, yet predictably, in the Trump 2.0 golden age, as he has termed it, that limiting the Greenfield Report to twice-weekly, longer segments needs to be augmented with occasional commentaries that focus on a specific issue. Today, we would like to ask the question, what is the budding constitutional crisis in the United States? Is it real? Does it matter? And what, if anything, is being done about it? U.S. constitutional experts are loath to get involved in any type of partisan politics. Typically, they argue what to the layman would be considered arcane, difficult to understand arguments where some type of principle is involved, which can then be extrapolated to a larger conclusion and thus change the direction of how the Constitution is interpreted and, by extension, the rights of the Americans and their way of life. Whew. I can see I may have lost you already, which, to be honest, is also being lost in the latest Trump-manufactured crisis. This is surrounding federal judges, who he feels are restricting him and his executive powers, which, as predicted, are growing by the day. Just to remind our listeners, especially Trump supporters, the U.S. Constitution provides for three co-equal branches of government. The executive, that's Trump, Congress, which means the House and the Senate, and the judiciary, where the ultimate arbiter of the Constitution and all rights is the Supreme Court. Regardless of what Trump or Project 2025 or the right would allege, the U.S. court system is a well-run, well-ordered, step-by-step process with many levels of appeal. As one constitutional expert put it, if you don't like the judgment against you, you can always appeal up to the Supreme Court if they will hear it. If not, then the lower court ruling stands. Simple, right? The most important thing you need to know about Donald Trump and those on the right is in combination they are relentless, lethal, and effective. They are also transparent. They know that the way to move the country to the right is through the court system, not just through the executive or legislation or even the agencies that they want to get rid of through DOGE. Thus, 40 years of pushing to get a strong, consistently conservative Supreme Court has worked to perfection, and they now have a supermajority of 6-3, as the liberals are far outclassed and outnumbered in every way. Some examples of this massive change to the right is the before constitutionally protected reproductive and abortion rights, which were thrown out after 40 years. Similarly, gutting civil rights step by step to where there is practically nothing left. Citizens United, giving corporations the rights of a person and unlimited money flooding into the U.S. elections, distorting and making them almost unimaginable in any other democratic country in the world. While the list is endless, it is what Trump is doing now, essentially making the executive the sole arbiter of what can be done or not done, is the ultimate step in the denigration and the loss of rights for Americans. Always using words like freedom or rogue justices or radical leftists and getting on talk shows has worked incredibly well for Trump over the past 40 years. The playbook is simple. Just keep on pushing it, and eventually, what initially seemed to be outrageous becomes, in the end, the norm. This is now the case with federally appointed judges, and Trump not only is ignoring what they rule, but then, of course, saying he has not ignored them, but continues, in fact, to ignore them. To make this work, to get it by the average American, you need to choose, of course, a group that everyone despises and that no one can really defend. In this case, the so-called criminal gangs that Biden led in to ravage the country, as Trump puts it, and you already have a vast majority of Americans agreeing with Trump that these alleged, though not charged, arrested or convicted, have no rights. Then you can obscure the fact that Trump will not comply with simple orders by a respected long-term Republican-appointed judge asking for information or discovery, with Trump and his minions ranting about criminals and murders happening every day in the street. Does this sound like what you used to hear about black men 50 or 60 years ago, which then led to some of the most egregious lynchings and abrogation of rights in U.S. history? In fact, this is a typical right-wing fascist move that you can find in many countries. It is done every day by Orban in Hungary, or Putin in Russia, or in any one of dozen countries around the world. To get people to accept losing their rights, you need to make it appear that the judges are defending criminals. Then you attack the judge no matter how unpartisan they are, no matter their track record, in this case of supporting Trump in the past. Now they are not only rogue, but they must be impeached. Send out the usual suspects like J.D. Vance, calling them junior judges, when in this instance it is the most senior, respected chief judge in the Washington, D.C. Judicial District. What is the purpose of all this? Step by step, Trump advances his agenda, as well as that of Project 2025, that he is above the law, that only he can decide what is legal or not legal, or even if he has to bother with legalisms at all. At the same time, declare he is the expert over everyone in what is legal because, you see, he's been sued so many times. In short, attack the judge, attack the system. Everything, everyone is against Trump and the people. The deep state is trying to get him, as only Trump represents what is right, and anyone who opposes him is against America. Drum roll, wave the flag. God bless the USA. As this plays out, every network, even Fox, is asking for some reflection before this goes too far. Rupert Murdoch, you see, in the end, doesn't want his boy Trump to be telling him what to do. All of the oligarchs, from Musk to Murdoch to the techno-monarchists who are having a field day making billions off of Trump, want Trump to keep going. But remember that they, not Trump, are in charge. In the end, as I have noted so many times on Quora, the only losers in this charade are the American people, not just transgenders or any other identity politics group. Just today, the Department of Defense took down a tribute to American veteran Jackie Robinson, who broke the race barrier in baseball, which ruled the country at that time. Others, like the Tuskegee Airmen tribute or even the Navajo Codebreakers, all came down until a firestorm forced Pete Hegseth to put them back up. You see, they were all listed as DEI, which is now banned. On and on it goes. The assault is daily, hourly. Computers, they now say, are making these decisions, not even humans, meaning you can be eliminated without even knowing it with no recourse. While AI is creeping into daily use to remove your rights, Donald Trump is moving on removing the last barriers of legal process and guardrails. Can anyone stop him? Not even Chief Justice Roberts, who gave Trump his immunity for official acts, seems to be able to slow Trump down. What chance do you have as a mere citizen? This is the question that every American should be asking themselves as Trump expands his control over your life like a praying mantis, slowly, now more quickly, sucking away your rights and any controls on him. Soon we will be looking back on these times as the good times, before Trump became totally unassailable. The courts are the last line of defense, as the Democrats, unfortunately, are spending more time arguing with themselves and are completely ineffective. When you see constitutional law experts from dozens of law schools asking to be on any program they can get to explain the danger of what Trump is doing, then you should know that this is not a left or right questions. It is more about the future of the U.S. as a republic with checks and balances, and yes, those three parts of the system. Republicans in Congress and the Senate have already pledged their complete fealty to Trump. That's 2 out of 3. It only leaves the courts to defend what is left. As I noted on Quora, fortunately, the U.S. federal judges comprise some of the brightest and most experienced and well-versed in U.S. history. Be thankful they are there to protect you For now, it is all you have left. The moment they begin to waver, and Trump already owns 4 on the Supreme Court, which means that Roberts has to get Amy Coney Barrett on his side every time just to slow down Trump, you will know it is the beginning of the end of your rights. This is Henry R. Greenfield for the Greenfield Report.
Thank you for joining us on the Greenfield Report with Henry R. Greenfield. We hope today's insights into the ever-shifting geopolitical landscape have sparked your curiosity and broadened your perspective. Stay connected with us for more in-depth discussions and expert solutions. Until next time, keep exploring the world beyond the headlines.